Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics, They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on BitChute, the name of my BitChute channel is Comic Freak. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of Star Wars articles, as if there's anything else to talk about this week besides Star Wars Episode 9. But either way, we're going to look at some articles that are basically already talking about the backlash to the movie, as well as the excuses the creators of it are going to make in the coming months. So let's get into this article. As one of the biggest and longest running franchises in the history of cinema, Star Wars is no stranger to highly anticipated releases as well as substantial amounts of backlash. Perhaps one of the biggest sources of controversy and negative opinions was the prequel trilogy, which arrived from 1999 to 2005, though the three films came after a period of time where fans felt they would never see another trilogy, let alone a single film in the beloved series again. That excitement soon turned to anger for many of the Phantom Menace offered many new characters, but it was the introduction of Jar Jar Binks that aroused the ire of some fans to no small degree. As derided as the character was, however, it would not mark the last time in which Star Wars fans objected to changes or new additions to the characters and storylines of the iconic franchise. Of course, the writer brings up Jar Jar Binks. They think if they bring up Jar Jar, it'll make the reader automatically side with their opinions. The arrival of the latest Star Wars trilogy, which kicked off in 2015 with J.J. Abrams' mostly well-received The Force Awakens, is now set to culminate with the release of the upcoming Rise of Skywalker. There's certainly no shortage of hype surrounding the film, but as far as Rise of Skywalker having the potential to anger some fans, well, unfortunately, that's always a risk. Exactly how much of a risk for backlash exists in the new film remains to be seen, but at least one of the film stars feels the negative reactions are inevitable. But in an interview with the 109, Richard E. Grant, who plays Agent General Pride in the new film, had the following to say. There's certainly no surge of hype surrounding the film. Is that true? As far as I know about it, people don't have any hype about the Rise of Skywalker. What they are talking about are all the mistakes they've made with this movie, bringing Palpatine back and probably having Brie Larson playing Ashoka Tano of all people. But let's see what this Star Wars actor has to say about the film. People feel incredibly passionate and possessive about it, and I understand it because I have been a Star Wars fan since I was 20 years old in 1977, when I was a drama student. Inevitably, there will be a Game of Thrones syndrome to Star Wars because you can't please everybody all the time, and the ending, what people want it to be, and what it actually is. Hopefully, for the majority of people seeing it, they will feel that they've had their wishes fulfilled, but inevitably, there's going to be people that don't feel that way, and you can't anticipate that. You have to do what is honest and true to you, and I think that J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio have done that to the absolute end of their ability. Not for 1 second do I think Richard E. Grant is speaking from his heart. I think this was something he was given by Disney to say to his interviewer so the reporter would have a story to spin for Disney's benefit. Not for 1 second do I think he spoke from his heart. Grant is no stranger to passionate fans and their franchises, having worked on Doctor Who, Game of Thrones, and now Star Wars. He's also the star of one of the biggest cult comedies of all time, director Bruce Robinson's 1987 classic With Nail and I, which has produced no shortage of downright obsessive fans because of this extensive experience. Grant's insight is worth paying attention to. The idea that every Star Wars film will be everything to all fans just isn't a reality. Regardless of what film or franchise is being considered, Grant isn't suggesting that Abrams or Terrio have created something that only some fans may be able to enjoy. However, he's simply being practical when evaluating how things will ultimately end up. What can I say about Richard Grant's opinion here? I can't really say anything because I don't want to sound like I'm agreeing with him. Mainly because I feel that Disney is paying him to say this, and because I know the backlash for the Rise of Skywalker is going to be greater than even he can imagine. But ultimately, I feel that he's underselling it because I think Disney told him to say that in this article because they want to head off any criticism before it actually begins. Perhaps then the best thing about Disney's near continuous production of Star Wars films is that there will never be a lack of variety. Jar Jar Binks' inclusion bothered many, but there are definitely still those fans who love the divisive creature. At the same turn, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker may not hit the mark for everyone, but Star Wars' future is such that there will always be new opportunities for the unsatisfied to be satisfied. Just like this little part of the article here just is spin by Disney to make sure that people are properly pacified while we're heading towards the final days before the film's release. And hopefully this will basically delay any criticism the film will get for at least till after the weekend is over, but doubtful. Because soon as this film is released, it's going to, well, hit the fan harder than anyone's ever seen before. Here's the other article we're going to be looking at. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker director J.J. Abrams says you can't look at fans as an adversary. Well, as others have said, and this relates to the other article as well, as soon as the criticism starts, will he keep saying that or keep up with that act? Because he's going to be, well, in the mire of it as soon as the movie is released. Star Wars fans shouldn't be looked at as an adversary, says two-time Star Wars director J.J. Abrams, who relaunched the franchise with The Force Awakens before returning for The Rise of Skywalker, despite the divisive nature of the Rian Johnson-directed The Last Jedi still stirring online discourse 2 years after its release into theaters, including renewed debates over its star's frank criticisms that came to light when promoting The Rise of Skywalker. Abrams believes spirited debate is not a bad thing, and the filmmaker explains why he sympathizes with critics. You can't look at fans of Star Wars as an adversary. They're passionate and certainly can be contentious, but the fact they care, I feel like I, as a Star Wars fan, understand that love for the series, Abrams told Popcorn host Peter Travers, so I feel blessed to be involved in something that matters so much to so many people. Asked if he stays away from the online community, Abrams answered, "Here's how I feel every time I read something where someone is unsupportive, which is a kind of way of saying brutal. I kind of go, well, they've got a point, and whenever I read someone saying, oh, he's the greatest, I'm like, they don't know what they're talking about. I always feel like I sympathize with the people who have the sort of or more negative things to say," he added, "so it's not a pleasant thing to ever read something that's a negative, but I also feel like spirited debate is not a bad thing, and certainly you can find some of that online." Abrams, a fan since he first saw George Lucas's original Star Wars when he was 10 years old, says the blockbuster was obviously mind-expanding, and it was understood immediately that things had changed when the movie came out. It had such an impact, obviously, on audiences and filmmakers, and not just the technology of it, but the sort of world-expanding nature of it, the sense of opportunity and possibility, and it's this thing that, for me, as a filmmaker, I feel very lucky to be involved in it. Abrams said, "Oh, Skywalker? I kind of went into it with a different point of view, having done one already. It was such a challenge. The ambition of it was so enormous, not just because it was another Star Wars movie, but because it was the end of not 3 movies, but 9. And that was really the thing that I thought, this makes me really uncomfortable. And so that was really the reason to do it. In a way, was sort of finish what we had started with this trilogy, but to take the saga away, endings do not come easily." As I said, most of these articles are spin by Disney to hit off any ridicule and criticism they're going to get as they head into the release of this film. And we'll see how J.J. Abrams responds to fans after the film has been released, if he still thinks that we're people who have spirited debates, or he's going to now feel that we basically attack him day and night, because most likely we're going to be incredibly angry because we've heard such rumors around this movie that it really looks like this will be the biggest movie bomb in history because of all the rumors we have heard, and with no one having any hype for the release of The Rise of Skywalker. If you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube is currently doing a subscriber purge as well as an ad revenue purge, so make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. Then go over to BitChute and subscribe to my BitChute channel, Comic Freak. Hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. And if you could you please share this video, share it on Twitter, and share it on Facebook. Facebook. Share it anywhere you think it would do the most good, because YouTube is not going around promoting their own YouTube creators anymore, and it would really help me if you could please share this video. Now listen closely, it's plug-in time again. Keep checking back in future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.